All right, it's Monday. It's 11 o'clock, and Monday is typically the day this video gets posted as we push forward into another episode of Power Forward. Got that right. I'm still learning YouTube, Waylon, and I posted our video with Adam's graphic this week by accident. It's like all kind of slightly disorganized, all slightly new to me, but hey, we got it fixed thanks to one of our viewers, and we're shooting another episode today. Today, we're going to talk about products. Obviously, what we sell requires a product to sell. But before we get there, Waylon, talk to us about anything new in sports and life in the holiday season, something not to do with insurance.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on as usual. Not a lot of craziness going on in sports right now. It's like a weird lull time. We've got the winter meetings wrapped up. Baseball is kind of laid back a little bit here for a couple months, I think. And basketball is kind of the focal point, which is my sport, but it's really kind of a boring time for that as well. Always fun to have the Christmas Day games and everything like that, though. So not a whole lot of craziness going on. Just travel to and from. Had to fly from Dallas to Columbus, and it's Columbus still. It's still here. It's still cold. Still the same old Columbus. So we're back hanging out here, man. So not a lot of new things to report in the world. We don't have a cool rumor mill thing like we did on our last call where we you announced pretty much that deal that got done. I think you were the one that broke that, not John Heatman from
Like 10 minutes later.
Chris Smith from Loyal reporting this deal's done. So no cool reactions like that this week.
Yeah, yeah. So I was out in Illinois over the weekend, and my girlfriend's convinced the Midwest always looks like dreary and suicide weather. And I'm like, I swear to God, at some point it doesn't look like you want to hurt yourself.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were
There's a week, a year where it'll be really, really nice out.
Yeah.
So
Minneapolis in the spring wasn't nice either.
yeah,
Chicago, I'm like, but remember we went to St. Louis and you didn't want to jump in the river. Oh, you're
yeah,
right. It was not.
exactly. We'll take the sunshine whenever we can get it. There's not always clouds. So
Yeah. Awesome. So today I wanted to talk about products. Obviously, final expense products is easier to talk about than Medicare products, but basically the good, the bad, and the ugly about what we sell. Because there's a lot of different products that we sell. Some of them look great on paper, but suck in real life. Some of them look average on paper, but work well in real life. There's a big difference between all the stuff that's out there. And a lot of agents really don't know what to sell, and their upline isn't telling them what to sell. So, what do you think about talking some products today?
yeah, I'm excited. That's really was a big thing for me when I was in the field full time was just knowing products, trying new products, figuring out, which ones worked, which ones didn't. And when you're in the field regularly, pretty quickly, because that's the way you make your living. Like if product sucks or you don't like it, it's pretty easy to tell pretty quickly. You
Yeah.
get a kind of bad vibe with a carrier, you submit an app and it takes 42 days to get issued. And it's like, yep, never again. Learn my lesson. So it's always fun to I got a visitor, but it's always fun to try new products because final expenses flipped on its head the last 18 to 24 months with all the new carriers and new products and repricing and all these different things going on. So
Yeah. I remember we tried out a couple new products lately. One I had, one I wrote, and instantly I'm like, nope, no, no, no.
yep.
And it's no disrespect to the people, the company, the people in development is just not ready yet.
Yep.
And I think a lot of agents depend on every single application to pay a bill. Like if I don't write this app, the power's not getting paid.
Yep.
And if I put a product in their hand and they write a policy and it doesn't pay them, it seems like a very irresponsible thing to do.
Absolutely.
Or a brand new agent's writing a brand new product and they get to a screen and they're not sure if they should hit here, they should hit there, and their upline's never written the product and they don't know what to tell them, but they expect to make money off of them. It's massively hypocritical.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And that's super common. It's a blessing to have all these Facebook groups and things that they're all, operational, but there's so many times where you see that people are like, oh, how do I get here? How do I log into my agent portal? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I love the comment, where's your upline? I'm not that guy. I try to help people regardless, but that comment
Yeah.
always gets a laugh out of me. So
Mm-hmm.
nice to have things like this and kind of go over which ones to even wait, spend your time on, as
Yeah.
far as the new products out there. So
So I divided it into 7 categories so far, and we're probably not going to have time to discuss it into great depth, but it's a good guideline in which to look at stuff. Number one, the compensation that you're put on with the product. Of course, comp isn't everything, but the best product in the world on a 40% contract, it's just not going to work. Rates, is it competitive? Is it super expensive? Is it the cheapest? Rates kind of have to be somewhere in a reasonable amount. The relationship that your agency, upline, IMO, LMNOP, whatever, has with the carrier. There's going to be situations where you need to get something done, and the person you call on the phone can't get it done. You need somebody above somebody above somebody to call somebody to get it done. True Social Security billing and persistency. Is this product going to draft on time? Is it going to pay me on time? Like the functionality of that. The underwriting, is it super, super liberal? Is nobody going to qualify? Like, can you actually sell it? Back office, can you log in and check things? And can you do so in a reasonable amount of time? If it's super complicated and I can't figure it out, I'm not going to write it. Or I'm never going to check on it and everything's going to fall off. And what good is that? And then home office. Can you call in and conserve your business, service your business, call in a death claim? Like 6 months to 6 years later, how easy is that part of the process going to go? Have I covered most of our bases there on the categories?
Yeah, I think that pretty well wraps up on the final expense side. It's the beauty of it. It's a simple product and service in relation to the other things that we're able to offer in the insurance space. So you're able to dig a lot deeper on the admin side of things, on the, as you mentioned, the compensation side of things, and just all the other aspects of what makes a product good, bad, or indifferent. As you said, your experience definitely shows you what's good, bad, and indifferent, because your first year in the business, it's like, oh, if they pay me a good commission, you really don't know what you don't know. So it's like, they pay me fast and I like them. It's like, well, that's not always, that doesn't mean they're a good carrier. There's a lot of other things that go into it as well. So yeah, that pretty much covers all the bases as far as what makes a carrier good, bad, or just indifferent. Not any good.
There are many indifferent products that are out there for one reason or the other. I could think of one right now that would probably be a lead carrier if their tech wasn't 2016. We're not going to use the name. We have a direct deal with it. It's gotten multiple tiers now, all the way from guaranteed issue to super preferred. Small mom and pop type company, but there's a paper app, phone interview, a submission process. It's like straight out of 2016. And when you're trying to move quick, sell, build, recruit, do 82 things at once, you just can't do that. And until they figure that process out, it's just going to be one of those, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just a simply indifferent kind of product.
Absolutely. I mean, especially now, if you look at the climate of the products that are available, carriers that don't have an instant decision application, that don't have a good back end platform to check your book, to know where people stand, to resolve issues, and don't have a good process. It doesn't have to necessarily be a live person that answers and handles all of it, but a process, a chat, or something that helps you handle issues with clients. You're really falling behind, and you're spending a lot of time, because think about it. I mean, one client calls a week. You've got to fix something, or one a week that didn't get issued in the house, and now you're chasing it for 48 working weeks. That's 50 people. You're going to spend a lot of time throughout the year where you could have just been going to the next house, selling the next policy. We talk about all the time, cash flow is what's king in this, and stuff that isn't issued isn't paying. I can tell you that. So it's important to really focus on the carriers that do those things, because they're out there. There's a fistful of people that that actually do the business the right way, and then handle things correctly, and make your life a heck of a lot easier as an agent if you just focus on them and don't try to reinvent the wheel. It's kind of an upline's job too, is to test these things and say, hey, this one worked out, this one didn't. This, we tried all of these, and this is the ones we like, and here's why. So,
well, this weekend was the anniversary of the GCU product getting pulled from the market over the weekend. And I think also agents need to be flexible and willing to pivot quick if things change. I remember having, I do this big expansive Monday training. It's like 15 minutes of mindset type conversation, 4 or 5 pages of notes. And I'll talk any news. Like, it's no news on a Monday. Literally, I checked my notes from a year ago. There's a whole page on don't panic. GCU's not the end of the world, because it was gone that quickly. It was a great product, great underwriting, great rates, great comp, and then it was dead. So there comes a point too, as an independent broker, where you have to be willing to pivot quickly when things change over the weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you have to be able to pivot. I mean, like these, a lot of the carrier, even existing carriers have revamped their products from scratch, basically re-rated, new underwriting niches.
Mhm.
Luckily, in the climate we're in now, we have access to resources like insurance toolkits, and it just creates the learning curve is so much shorter
Mhm.
for a new agent. It's like you don't really have to learn it; just type in the information, you'll figure out what to write. But the ins and outs part of it, that again, that's in my both of our considerations. I think is the upline's job to say, hey, maybe this great carrier doesn't do business anymore, but you can, with the way things are now, you can be pretty sure that there's something else that's going to come out that's pretty darn cool too.
Yeah.
So just the last 6 months, there's been some sweet products that have dropped.
Yeah. Uh, let's talk about some of the categories, and we'll use let's just use Prosperity Life because they love us. I can't say anything they're going to get upset about, and they're a good company everybody knows a lot about, as an example of how they factor into these 7 categories. So
Yep.
Prosperity Life has been around since like 2017, 2018, made a lot of growth. Pretty much you could sell anything on that platform, from final expense to Medicare to mortgage protection. It's pretty impressive.
Yep.
With Prosperity, the comp is really good. So depending on your agency setup and what they give you and what they don't give you, you can get a great comp structure with pretty much anything on the Prosperity Life platform, right?
Absolutely. They have a strong comp and as you said, strong comp across the board, not just final expense, but the mortgage protection products very competitive and high comp. MedSup has the higher comps available. We're talking with the premier carriers out there, the big boys, the names that you hear all the time, the Omahas, the Transamericas, the big guys. They've got similar comp structures, and are very competitive in that regard. Competitive product, but also very competitive commission structure for agencies, agents, and IMOs alike.
I'll give you a little life hack, and it might not work for everybody. I always thought it to be pretty cool. I put my Prosperity comp on weekly pay. So every Monday evening, I get paid by Prosperity, and I've been writing them pretty faithfully since 2018. So it's almost like a guaranteed pay every Monday night from a carrier. And I just think it's cool to kind of get that regularity with some of the products that you write. Rates. Let's talk specifically final expense and their family freedom term. Really good rates on the incredibly good rates on the term, and competitive rates on final expense.
Yeah, absolutely. The FE, the beauty of their FE is they didn't really re-rate. It stayed strong. And with a lot of these carriers that were coming up on the lower end of the spectrum on, rates, they're still where they were. And they're still, I would say, top third, if you will. They're not the cheapest. They're not the most expensive, but they've got sweet niches that we'll get into. And the rates are in an area where you can be confident, I think, with the carrier based off the other things that you get with them,
Mhm.
that they're going to stay strong for a while and they're financially stable and they're at a good place for the client. It's just a very, it's strongly rated on the final expense side. And then they're graded, has very good rates and very good benefit for clients,
Yeah.
which pays full commission. That I'll mention on the last thing we spoke about. But family freedom term is extremely well priced. In the simplified issue term market, it's one of the leaders.
Mhm.
So if anybody on here hasn't taken a look at that, definitely take a look. And then prime term, a product that a lot of people either don't know about it, or if they do, they probably write it. If you know about the product, it's like, well, I'd rather write that than GI.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a higher comp than GI. It's easy to write now with the e-app being available on it in most states.
Mhm.
It's a well priced product in comparison with the other GI products out there or near GI. So
Yeah.
yeah, pricing with them strong.
Let's talk about relationships, because relationships matter. I think that's one of I added an 8th category. I'll get to it in a second. The 8th category is about a product that you take a look at is relationship with a carrier. Some of these carriers, you're nobody to them until you're doing 20 million a year. You're nobody to them to anybody. Some of them would rather you not even be around. They want to sell direct to consumer. Prosperity's got great relationships with their home office, their leadership there. They take feedback from the field. They understand the interdynamics of transfers and releases and divorces. Talk to me about your experience with relationships with that carrier.
Yeah, Prosperity, that's one of the places they really shine. It's like a gold star for them. They do a great job of understanding from an agency perspective, from an agent's perspective, inside out versus outside in, that some carriers kind of fail to recognize and realize. I think we have a great relationship with them. We've had them on our calls several times, and
Mhm.
they're just good people. They're down to earth. They do a great job at what they're good at. They're very uh, transparent and honest with you know what their decision making processes look like, and when
Mhm.
they can do things and can't do things, which is all you can really ask for. They're not gonna kick the can down the road and say that they're looking to do this far out. They've always followed through on things they've told us, like, hey, we're
Yeah.
looking at this product, and lo and behold, after a while, it's released or it changes or whatever. So they've been consistent. The relationship's been phenomenal. Love working with Prosperity, and Jack and Candace and those guys are phenomenal. So
Yeah, the next part is pretty easy. True Social Security billing, it's a yes.
yep.
Really, at this point in time, if a carrier isn't doing it, they either don't care and know what it is, really don't care, which is a problem, or they're going to get it eventually. So we've seen a great shift since the early originators, the Trinities, Transamericas, and SNL were all that did it, to now almost everybody does it, and so does Prosperity Life. Underwriting. Let's talk underwriting, because I think they have relatively liberal underwriting, and it doesn't matter how good a product is if you can't get anybody approved with it.
Yep.
So preferred, graded, modified, prime term 100. Is there really anybody that you could write that you can't write with Prosperity and final expense?
Virtually no. If we lump the PT 100 in there, that really kind of covers any holes that are in the new Vista product they offer on the final expense side. Outside of like current cancer, like serious conditions that would be GI across the board, essentially. Now, just knowing some of the things I know, we know there's some carriers out there even that you wouldn't have to go GI with certain situations, but
Yeah.
we're talking maybe 3% of all final expense cases out there you wouldn't be able to necessarily write, which is extremely low, all things considered. Yeah, I mean that lineup of products on the final expense side takes virtually everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, on the new Vista, regardless of which plan they qualify for, you get paid full commission, which is a big deal. If you compare it to other carriers out there, virtually anybody on at least the modified is going to cut your comp 30, 40 points, which is understandable. Or on the graded, they might even cut comp a little bit, but non-prosperity, it's full comp across the board. Prime term cuts a bit, but on the family freedom term side, I just like it because it's instant decision, same platform as their final expense. A lot of final expense guys, that's kind of what they do. So it's like they don't like to change a lot. Well,
Yep.
hey, look, you need to write a term. It's the same thing you've been doing. You're just writing term. Click the term button and then just answer the questions like you do final expense. So, it's nice that it's a reliable platform. And like I said, the underwriting on the term is not to dig real deep into it, but it's pretty standard, as far as underwriting goes. More strict, obviously, than any final expense, but it's still predictable. Kind of common sense underwriting, which that's what I like about Prosperity, is it's basically just common sense.
Mm-hmm.
You have health questions and they have a med list that kind of tells you what they do and don't take. If you follow that, you'll be all right. And yeah, I mean, I think across the board, condition wise, they do a great job.
Yeah. One little pro tip here. I think we've been dropping these nuggets in there. So that's why it's worth watching the whole 25 minutes. You can pivot from New Vista to Prime Term 100. Like, say they're just declined, you didn't like the offer, I guess the term is to cross sell against. Americo never really allowed you to go from Eagle Premier to Ultra Protector when they had two products. I understand it. It makes sense. They didn't want you to compete against their product portfolio. Prosperity, honestly, is fine if you can't get in with New Vista to pivot into Prime Term 100. Great pro tip there. And then there's the the three-legged stool of the business, not the three tiers, the three-legged stool. Why is it helpful that Prosperity pays full comp on modified and graded? Because the three legs of the stool are you, the agent, the carrier, and the client. And if all three of those aren't in line, you fall off the stool and you're out of the business. So I think that's an important recognition as well. Talk to us about back office, because some of these carrier websites still absolutely suck. No disrespect to them. They definitely could do better. Some of them are using software from Windows 95 or maybe Windows 98, but I think Prosperity's got a pretty good back office.
Yeah, Prosperity's back office is probably my favorite. I'm going to be honest with you. Why? Well, it's easy. Like, it's easy. And as someone who runs an agency, a pretty large group, it's makes my life so much easier, because if something needs to be changed, I can make a quick Loom video on how to do it, send it to my agency owner, and they can do it. It's not where I've got to call, sign 13 pieces of paper, make sure they come from a certain fax number to a certain fax number, and pray to God they got there. It's all electronic, basically. You can check commissions by policy, by name, by anything. You can check chargeback balances. You can check reasons for the chargebacks. You can check new business. You can submit new business. You can send downline contracts. You can change contract levels all by yourself. It's kind of a revelation still, which is shocking that they're still one of the few. I think they're the only carrier that you can do all of that on their portal. I don't know of any other that you can do all of that just on the back end of the portal. If there's a release situation, someone's coming to you, you can do it on the back end of the portal. If there's a release situation, you're releasing someone, you can do it on the back end of the portal. Transfers the debt. It does everything that needs to be done accounting wise as well. So how they figured that out, not sure.
It's just amazing.
It just works well. I mean, that's probably, again, what besides relationship, that's the other shining, gold star is like the back end just works and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Easy to find stuff.
Real quickly, Perks, they have a 10% bonus on the mortgage protection file expense. I think everything's lumped into the same categorization.
Yep.
They don't have a trip, they have the bonus, but the bonus works well for folks. Very easy to qualify for, very transparent on how you qualify for it. I personally wouldn't lead with a carrier that isn't offering some kind of a perk. I mean, if I don't qualify for the trip, so be it. If I don't get the bonus, so be it. But these carriers have marketing budgets built in for bonuses majority of the time. I'd like a lead carrier that's going to give me a little bit of something back for the business in addition to the commission.
Absolutely. I mean, whether it's lead credit, I mean, I like the Prosperities as a quarterly bonus and it's cash. That's cool. I mean, that's a cool, people prefer cash over because you can spend money wherever you want. A lead credit, you can't take a direct mail lead credit and go to Walmart. I don't think they'll give you anything. So, it's nice that they just give you cash for that and then they lump all the products together. So it's a rolling quarterly bonus. And if that's your lead carrier, you can really stack up a nice bonus over a 12-month period. So.
Yeah. We just got access to a new carrier. I haven't quite got a chance to field test yet before I let somebody else learn, which I don't like to do. Like we said, 7% lead credit.
Yep.
Cincinnati Equitable, middle Ohio love right there. 7% lead credit, 4K bonus, similar to what Trinity and Family Benefit does. It's pretty exciting, right? Absolutely.
I mean, all the lead credits you can get. I mean, those little things add up, especially if you're consistent and you're writing 3, 5, 7,000 a week. 7% over a year's time. It's a big boost to your business. It's a huge on the bottom line. Like you look at these big corporations, if they go up 7%, they're having parties in the office. So, think about yourself as a business for a second. 7% to your bottom line is a big deal just for doing what you were doing already. Yeah.
So great little conversation there on Prosperity. Before we go, without getting specific about carriers, could you think about some of the bad and the ugly that you've seen out of products and carriers and ones that you wish, would be better, but you just can't write because of some issues without being specific?
Yeah. I mean, like just to highlight some issues. Number one issue is we have an e-app, but we don't have an instant decision. That's like if that's in final expense specifically, if that's the case, it's really hard to justify it unless they just have an unbelievable approval rate. And there's just something there that tells you like, this is our carrier. But even then, at this point, it's hard to justify. It's just difficult. It stinks. I wish it weren't that way because I do have some carriers that I love that are fall in this category as far as relationships. They check a lot of the boxes we talked about, but the big box is like, come on, like just give us a decision. Like, even if it's declined, I want to know, I'm here. I'm not going to be driving back and forth to the same place because it's a run and gun business at this point. So that's a big one. Another one's back end. And again, I say back end, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be at a home office level, meaning someone manning the phones that you call every day, because that would drive people nuts anyways. Some kind of tech support or a portal like Prosperity where they're able to, jump in and check things, being able to monitor your business as an agency owner or an agent. If you're not able to actually know where things stand and get the answers you're looking for on clients and downlines and things like that, it just slows everything down.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to want to focus on the carriers that allow you to get answers more quickly. So those are two big things. One on the agent side, one on the agency side, but those are huge. I mean, you got to have an instant decision app. It's overly important.
Mhm.
And above everything else. And then you also got to have the ability to check things and be able to get answers on things that relatively quickly.
Yeah. Two more carriers we'll talk about before we wrap up the processes that allow us to move quickly. AmAm, they have a chat feature.
Yep.
I'd rather chat than get on the phone if possible. Chat isn't always live, but chat helps me get things done quickly, concisely, and multitask at the same time. And KSKJ, they let you email in like Prosperity does. Please double draft, please reissue. Hey, what happened? Someone's checking an email and getting back to you relatively quickly on issues that really aren't super time sensitive. And I think a lot of agents struggle with prioritizing tasks. Conservation service work, back end work always needs to come secondary to production. Like if your goals met, then go back and clean up after stuff. If your money's right, go back and clean up after your back office. But if you're sitting at home right now and your bank account looks back at you with an angry face, you should be selling insurance, not servicing insurance. Thoughts on that before we wrap up?
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. If a lot of times an angry bank account can be solved by just getting in your car and going to the house, going to the next house and getting leads. Yeah. So 100% right. And if you're working with carriers that don't allow you to do that, there's part of the problem. Find some people that make your life easier so you can work harder.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A carrier that makes my life easier, makes me sell more insurance, and makes them happy as well. So thanks for watching another episode with us on a Monday afternoon. Like the video, comment below, let us know what you want us to talk about, what you like what we're saying. If you disagree with everything we said, let us know. And then subscribe. We're getting close to our first pinnacle. It's 100. It's not a lot, but we went from almost nothing to 100 in just a month's time. So we appreciate each of you that have subscribed and will subscribe watching today. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.